There is a video game where you can play as Buzz Lightyear, Simba from The Lion King, Tarzan, as well as Sheriff Woody. And its name is Disney's Extreme Skate Adventure. Aside from the Create a Skater functions, the game has 12 playable characters and 10 different levels to choose from, featuring locations from Disney movies such as Toy Story, The Lion King, and Tarzan. The levels themselves consist of a fictional California townscape, Andy's Room, the Elephant Graveyard, Zurg's World, Scar's Canyon, a 19th century steamship, and a repetitive amount of jungle levels, which are the Human Campsite, the Jungle Treehouse, and for some reason, Pride Rock is surrounded by a forest instead of the African savanna. Anyways, my favorite level in the entire game is the Pizza Planet map from the Toy Story series, because you're essentially skateboarding inside of a giant arcade restaurant, and it turns the table booths into half pipes, and you can grind across the arcade cabinets, and the Toy Story levels are just the best parts of the entire game. If the user interface looks familiar, that's because Disney's Extreme Skate Adventure uses the same engine as Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4, but with a few major adjustments. Compared to the Tony Hawk series, the hit detection for Disney is slightly less precise, so that the actual skating tricks are much easier to complete, and one of the core aspects of the game isn't as much of a challenge. Now, I know that it's important for video games to be challenging in order for each accomplishment to feel meaningful and rewarding, but I also think that video games should be enjoyable to play throughout their entire duration, which is something that skateboarding games greatly excel at. I mean, the most common experiences in skating games consist of mindlessly free skating throughout specific levels, and it's still rewarding because the process itself is enjoyable to play. Free skating is always fun even when you're not making any progress whatsoever, and it's often more satisfying than playing the objectives that are built into the game. From my experience, instead of trying to achieve a high score by amassing trick points, what I find to be rewarding in a skateboarding game are my own personal objectives, such as exploring the level, collecting objects, and generally just trying to get from point A to point B, which are actions that Disney's Extreme Skate Adventure actively supports through its hidden locations, collectibles, and making the skating tricks easier to land properly. The truth is, skateboarding video games aren't linear action simulations, they're 3D platformers. Obviously, it's not like your standard 3D platformer where you can move at your own pace because the game is built around skateboarding controls, but that's where the challenge and reward system is. If you want to explore a specific location, you have to work against the fact that your character is riding a perpetually moving skateboard, while using your ollie and grind mechanics as a means to navigate each level for the reward of being where you want to be, and possibly discovering something new. In Disney's Extreme Skate Adventure, having a wider margin for hit detection might make it easier to grind on rails, but by doing so, your character travels at a higher velocity, and that creates its own challenge of becoming more difficult to control and more difficult to arrive at your target location. So if you're trying to earn points for a high score, the game is a cakewalk, but if you're trying to explore the level via platforming, it is a legitimately rewarding experience. If anything, Disney's Extreme Skate Adventure streamlines the playstyle of skateboarding games, and angles its trajectory towards 3D platformers, both mechanically and aesthetically. It's at least twice as colorful as any Tony Hawk title, and aside from how 1/3 of the game consists of jungle levels, the environments are still at least twice as diverse and interesting. Like, who cares about skating in some random warehouse when you can skateboard inside of Pizza Planet? Disney's Extreme Skate Adventure is an incredible video game, but most importantly, it actually has something to say about the genre of skateboarding games by showing us what they can be like when they embrace the design of 3D platformers. So if any future game developers are watching this video and want to make a video game centered around skateboarding, just treat it like it's a 3D platformer. And instead of having it be about earning points or getting a high score, try having it be about platforming, exploring colorful environments, and collecting objects. Instead of attempting to recreate the Tony Hawk series, maybe the skateboarding video games of the future should be more like Disney's Extreme Skate Adventure.